5, 4, 3.
It's episode 296, and we've got plugins for editing posts with one key, heartbeat control, migrating bbPress in Multisite, tooltips, and a wild new plugin that lets you stage WooCommerce products in a virtual room. It's all coming up next on WordPress Plugins A-Z.
WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 30,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join John Overall and Marcus Couch for this weekly unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress Plugins A-Z.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, where you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the Great White North, where we're getting one great big blast of winter and snowing again. I'm John Overall.
And from the rainy, wet shores of Laguna Beach, California, I'm Marcus Couch.
Yeah, winter decided to pay us one last visit before it leaves. Started snowing this morning, and the flakes are coming down big and heavy. It's kind of like being in the snow globe right now. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, it's different here, too. It's weird. It's just the coldest winter we've had, even though 60 degrees isn't that cold. But, normally when you come to a nice southwest part of the U.S., you expect some good weather during the winter, and we haven't really had it this year, but a lot of rain. So thank you for that.
Filled up all the reservoirs. That's what I've been reading about. A couple of them. That's over
right.
the top.
I might go tubing in the river that I've never seen before.
The LA River. It's flowing right now.
That's right.
All right. Well, as usual, folks, we have a great show for you here today. And right off the top, don't forget you can get all the show notes over at WPPlugins A-Z.com. And if you got a few minutes, we greatly appreciate your time on Stitcher Radio, giving us a little thumbs up or leaving us a review on their website, or taking a few minutes in the iTunes store and leaving us a review there. They really help the show out.
Yeah, the iTunes reviews really, really, really do help. There's a lot of things that we're looking for this show, and iTunes reviews is definitely one of them, and it doesn't cost you a thing. So if you can spend a few minutes on that, that would be greatly appreciated. Hey, also remember, if you're using Twitter, you can follow the show on Twitter at WPPlugins A-Z.
Absolutely. And of course, what's usually self-promotion, but these days I really not pushing myself out there, but still encouraging folks to use the job board. I know I haven't posted any of the small jobs I've had, but the people that I run across when I've had them have gotten them really quickly. And thanks a lot again out there to David, who helped me out with a job and is going to be helping us out with the WP Plugins A-Z site. So looking forward to that. And anyone else like that, check out the job board, and eventually that'll start to do something, I'm sure. So check it out at WPPlugins A-Z.com/jobs.
Yes, and those are, by the way, not jobs for John and I. Those are just random people want to post, people that are friends of the show, etc.
Oh, absolutely. I've got enough jobs at the moment.
Yeah. So that's what that's for. So anybody that wants to participate in that, that's great.
All righty. And anything for you, Marcus, at this point?
I'm just let's acknowledge I guess some people that have donated to the show this week.
It's donation. Let's talk about our donors then. You want to take it?
Sure. Again, it's $50 from Jez at JezWeb Party Limited.
PTY Limited.
Yeah, PTY, sorry. I thought it was Party.
I know, that's how I always mixed it until he sent us that clarification email.
This donation is on behalf of bnbcare.com.au, who provide listing management and cleaning for Airbnb accommodation in Newcastle, Australia. That's very nice. That's a side service that works. And we want to thank everybody who came in under $50. I just want to take one note to say, I last night was pretty frustrated, and I actually put in the show notes that I'm not doing the show anymore after, but I'm still doing the show. But I really am mystified sometimes by our audience. I get instant messages all the time from Twitter, from fans and listeners of the show that want to find a plugin and all that, and I bend over backwards trying to help find it. And I'd love to see, even if we didn't get 10 donations a week, I'd be happy with 10 speak pipes a week. I'd be happy with 10 iTunes reviews a week, or 10 of something, any kind of combination therein. So I just want to call out the audience. You're not really stepping up the way that we expected to, and I don't really care if you're going to give me nasty iTunes reviews because I say this, but we have tens of thousands of listeners of this show, and just to have the same person donating all the time is kind of embarrassing. So please, and not that we don't appreciate it, we love it. We absolutely love it. We'd love to see repeat donors all across the board. So please, if you get any kind of value out of this show, that's what John and I implement as far as the model for the show. It's value for value. If you find value in it, then give us value back. And we can see right now by the donation sheet that not a lot of people give this show a value. And that's too bad, because John and I really try hard to bring you the best of the best when it comes to WordPress plugins each week. We are the longest running WordPress show out there.
The longest continuous running WordPress show.
Yeah, so that deserves some kudos, I guess, from the audience. And you're not hearing us do live reads for LegalZoom. You haven't heard us pawning off hosts or things like that in a long time. We don't do commercials. We don't do any of those things. We rely on the listeners themselves to help to support this show. And you're not helping to support John and I in our lifestyle or our life, because $50 a show certainly isn't going to do that.
No, absolutely not. That just helped cover some of the time and some of the costs that are associated with the show, such as, hosting and transcriptions and other little miscellaneous things along the way. That's what's being covered right now with the donations that are coming in.
Exactly. And, we're not living off this. And it really irritates me when I have to take a good portion of the morning on Mondays to record this show with you, John. And, I could be working on blog posts for myself. I could be working on content for my own business. I could use it as some time to cold call some clients or, things like that. And instead I dedicate it to the listeners and to the show. Yeah. So love to see some people give back to the show, and we'll see if it happens.
Well, I understand that. And just to know, this show is going to continue. And I know that there's a big announcement coming from me probably in the next show. But I know that a lot is going to be changing with me coming up really soon. And we'll be letting folks know how that change is going to affect the show and other things coming down the road. But we really do, if you do get value from the show, you should be supporting it in some way. Either monetarily, volunteer to help out on the website, write articles for us, any sorts of things that could help improve it. I try to respond to everyone who contacts me for whatever reason as best as possible. And we try to bring all of your thoughts in. If you don't think there's value being delivered, tell us what value you think needs to be delivered. Maybe we can incorporate it into the show if it's within the realms of what this show is designed about. So those are the things we'd like to see from you folks. So please step up and let's turn WP Plugins A to Z into, the top show of all WordPress shows out there.
Yeah, we're pretty close already.
Well, I love the fact that when I go into into Stitcher and type in WordPress, we're number one there.
Right.
So, we've got some top stuff here and there. We've got a lot of people who link back to the site. I'm starting to see more and more contacts from different people. And so it's stepping up, and it will step up even more over this coming year.
Great.
At any rate, I've got a couple of pieces of news out there that we're going to talk about. For those of you that may be living under a rock and don't pay attention to your feeds anywhere, Cloudflare had a major security issue. They had a leak in their system that exposed thousands of users, usernames and passwords for multiple websites that they manage. This isn't just limited to one. There's an article in here that discusses it, and it even affected Patreon in particular. I got an email from Patreon that said, get in there and change your password, because while we don't think it got leaked, it's possible it got leaked. So there's many in there. You want to check out this article. It's from the Tavern, and it talks about it, and it lists off the major sites that were impacted. So if you have an account at any of those major sites, you want to check it out and get your passwords changed for it. Also, there was another nice article in here from Mayanna at Blog-Aid discussing about, does your host support free SSL certificates yet? And discussing the other things about PHP 7, a little bit of that. And I am going to give myself a little bit of plug here because I still offer up web hosting, although I offer it on a limited basis to limited clients and at premium prices. But one of the benefits they get from me is they get automatic SSL certificates for their websites, so they don't have to chase them down. They're free. They're automatically renewed. They get top quality servers on PHP 7 and more. So if you're looking for a web host that provides well, check me out. That I am still offering up to people, and I do a pretty damn good job of offering that service to folks. You can find that at johnoverall.com. Nice. At any rate, what else we got? We got one piece of listener feedback this week. You want to jump into that?
Sure. Where are we going? Notes. David Brandt actually said, "Hi, John and Marcus. I've got a plugin for you to review. Not sure if you've done it before. It's called Tiny Coffee. You can find it at the repository /Tiny Coffee is the URL slug. I saw it implemented on another website, and I thought it was brilliant because it actually seemed to make the concept of donating to a blogger fun. Something about the simple design and concept really seemed appealing. I don't have any association with the plugin or author or anything. Just thought it would be something neat to share with your audience." That's awesome. I wish our audience would actually use something like that to donate regularly. We've got so many other means for people to donate that aren't being taken advantage of now. I'd hate to implement a new plugin for that.
Yeah.
But David, thank you so much for your contribution to the show. And we'd love to see your donation too, David. I didn't see you on the list. So I appreciate you handing me another begging cup, but we need to have these filled.
We do need to have them filled. So yeah, thanks, David. We appreciate it. And this is another way you guys can help contribute to the show. Submit plugins for us. If you submit a plugin without submitting it through the website, the website submission form, this is mostly what I'll do with it, and I may add it to the queue to check it out. If you submit it through the website's submission form, it gets added to the queue for reviews, and eventually they get reviewed in that queue. But it takes a while to get through the plugins, because a lot of times plugins that get reviewed are ones that are actually being used by me. If it's not a plugin I can actually use, I have to manually go test it. And that manual testing takes time away from my other productivity. So that's one of the reasons why we look for donations, to be able to say, oh, I need to set aside some time to do this sort of work. But wait, I got to go earn a living.
That's right.
So at any rate, that's all we got for you right now and that stuff. Anything else to add at this point?
No, I'm actually doing a lot of different, I do have something else to add. Any of you that are in Facebook, in the Advanced WordPress group, I actually posted something in there today. I saw my first WordPress commercial.
A WordPress commercial?
Yeah, it's for WordPress.com though.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
It's interesting. I posted the link in the Advanced WordPress, and I'll try and put that in the show notes too. It's hard to put Facebook stuff in show notes, but it's more of a small business approach, kind of like what you've seen from GoDaddy and the like. The feedback I've seen so far about it, people don't like it. They don't like the commercial. So we'll be sure and leave a link to that in the show notes to this show, and we'll see how you like it.
Excellent. All right. Then I guess it's time to jump into the meat and potatoes of the show then, eh?
All right. Let's rock and roll.
Off we go. This week here, what have I got for you? Well, I've got a few plugins that I've ended up using this past week. The first one is called Compact Archives. And if you're looking for a way to display your archives, now we know the normal way, you take the widget for the archives and you list it up, and you either get to list them all up and it makes a really ugly list, or it compacts it down and it's a drop-down menu. Not a lot to it. This is what this plugin handles for you. is it helps you list up archives, especially if you got a website like I was working on here that goes back for 8 years and it's got a lot of archives. And when you get to the archive page, you can list it by month and year and you scroll down to see the articles, but how do you get to the other ones in an easy fashion? This plugin here has a widget that when you drop it in the sidebar, creates a listing by year, and then next to the year, it puts them out months. Either you can have it a digit 1 through 12, or you can have it January through, a 3-letter month, or you can have it just by letters. And with a little bit of CSS, you can customize it up to fit beautifully into whatever theme you've been working on and developing. And it makes it really nice that once they get into this archive and they're hunting for something, it allows them to jump through all the months of the past years quickly and easily and efficiently. So all in all, it turned out to be a really great plugin, enhanced the look and feel of this site quite nicely. And because it was so simple and effective to use, I had to give this one a top 5 Dragon rating. So check it out, Compact Archives.
Awesome. That's cool. Speaking of cool, I got a really neat plugin for you to check out, John. It's called My WooCommerce Product Virtual Showroom. And what it allows you to do is take the images of your WooCommerce products, or actually you can upload some of these things as well. And what it does is it creates a virtual showroom for your customers to test a product. So let's just say, John, you and I owned a furniture store.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a sofa and a table and a lamp and perhaps a rug or something like that. We can actually superimpose this in a virtual room and then see how it all looks together.
Nice.
And it's a really cool graphic enhancement for WooCommerce. All the product images are resizable, movable, all that around the user's background photo that they upload, or you can just use stock ones. So it's really, really cool, a really neat way to kind of drive conversions and sales, and it's all short code based. So it's really cool. Check it out. You're going to have to see it, and once you go into the repository link, you'll see an actual YouTube video for it as well to demonstrate how it works. It's called My WooCommerce Product Virtual Showroom, and I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, they've got some really nice stuff there. And don't forget, folks, there's always the screencast you can come look at, and I try to show some of this stuff during the show. Okay, next plugin I've got here is called Heartbeat Control. Now, most people know about the heartbeat of WordPress. It's that continuous signal it sends back to your browser on a regular basis, usually default every 15 seconds. Well, sometimes that creates issues, especially when you're on shared hosting providers. And what you need to do is control that heartbeat, because one of the biggest things that occurs, you've probably encountered it, I encounter it from time to time, it's the issue when you're creating a post and suddenly you get a pop-up that says, you've been disconnected, we've backed this up in your browser until the reconnection happens. Sometimes that's actually caused by the heartbeat going too often and creating issues, especially if you're kind of if you're a developer and you do like I do sometimes, you're working on a website and you'll have 3 or 4 tabs open for the same website, so you can do multiple things in it. That heartbeat is running on every one of those tabs, so it can create all kinds of problems along the way. So what this plugin does for you is it allows you to go in and control the heartbeat and turn it off for everywhere else on the website that it's not needed, and have it only effective for a post or a page that you're editing. And you can change the time frame from 15 seconds all the way up to every 60 seconds. And in reality, you probably only need it every 16 seconds to make that auto backup of your post while you're working on it. So this is a really good plugin. It works very, very well. It actually worked to solve this problem I was working on for a client's website where we were having this particular issue of the timeouts and the logouts. And as soon as I set this all up, it all went away. So it did actually fix the problem because of that. And it's very simple to set up, very easy. And of course, because of that, another plugin hit top 5 Dragon rating. Check it out, Heartbeat Control.
Okay, so I've got a disclosure about this plugin.
What's that?
This is done by Jeff Matson.
Okay.
He's a friend of mine. I actually tried to get him to rename this plugin Pacemaker.
Pacemaker would be more fun for it.
Right. So it's very interesting. And he's done pretty well with this plugin. And I'm talking like a couple years ago when he first brought it to light. I suggested that name for him, but didn't go with it.
Well, they should listen to us for names. We come up with much cooler names for these plugins.
We need
anyway.
a naming. We're going to do our own naming service.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so the next plugin that I have, it's really simple, really kind of lazy plugin. There are a lot of instances where I don't like using a top bar for editing my site, the admin bar that comes up when I'm looking at the front end. And it makes it a little tougher when it comes to editing specific posts and pages. And so I've recently tried this plugin. It's called Escape to Edit. And it's really simple. When you're in the front end and you're logged in as the administrator, all you have to do is hit the escape key and it'll take you right to the edit page.
Oh, nice.
That's it. That's all it does. Escape to edit. Gave it a 4 out of 5.
Very cool. That could save some time while you're working on things.
Yeah, sometimes I don't like using the admin bar because especially if I have something that's top heavy, maybe a slider up at the top or different kinds of navigation, the admin bar takes up space up there and it kind of aligns it weird. So this is a good alternative to that.
Nice.
Escape to edit.
All right, the final plugin I've got here today is called Magic Tooltips for Gravity Forms. And this is a premium plugin. It was submitted to us. It was submitted by Russ Mate. The plugin is $19.95, so not a bad price for a premium plugin. And if you use Gravity Forms, much like I do, and promote Gravity Forms because in my opinion it's the best of them, even though it does have its issues, this plugin here adds a functionality that is very needed, much needed in Gravity Forms. It adds a tooltip for you. So you can give additional instructions for what someone needs to do when they're entering information on your form without having to add an entire line underneath, thereby damaging or adding way too much stuff for them to read in the form. They can just mouse over the tooltip, get the pop-up, say, hey, you need to, don't forget, you got to add this, or we only accept these files, or whatever the tooltip's going to be. Very simple plugin, works very, very well. I found it to be quite efficient to set up and work. The only problem that I might, well, it's not even a problem. The only thing I would suggest to the developers, and I'll send that when I let them know that we reviewed it, is that they move the menu for this item into the Gravity Forms menus so that you can find the settings menu for this plugin. It was easy to set up, easy to use. It doesn't function without a license, as I realized after I'd set it up and started working with it. So you do have to actually have a license to run this plugin. And all in all, great plugin, worked well. I had to give it a top 5 Dragon rating. Check it out. Magic Tooltips for Gravity Forms.
Man, you're bringing out the hits
hey,
today.
Hey, man, I got a full house today.
All right, final plugin for me. It's called Move bbPress Multisite. And what it allows you to do is take the install from one website of a WordPress network, as far as bbPress, and move it to another website in the same multi-site network. So you can select which parts of your bbPress install to copy, and you can also select what parts to delete from the original website. So if you have a forum that you'd like to move from one site to another within your multi-site network, this allows you to do it. The reason I'm featuring it, obviously, because I had a need for it, and I had to do it. And I was just searching on how to migrate bbPress on multi-site, and this plugin popped up on my radar.
Nice.
Pretty good plugin. I will say it is a little laborious. It didn't do things as quickly as one click. There's a lot of setup in between, and I did notice that it was kind of a pain to delete specific parts from a website like they claim. But it does work. It absolutely works, and I rated it a 3 out of 5.
Very nice. Yeah, it could definitely help become a time saver for folks. All right.
Yes, and I'm sure, by the way, with a little bit more time, I would have given it a higher rating. It's just I was in one of those emergency hurries, and believe me, it saved a lot more time rather than having to migrate the code in the database myself.
Very nice.
So I'm appreciative of that.
All right. Well, I covered up in this episode here Compact Archives, which I gave a 5 to, Heartbeat Control, which I gave a 5 to, and then Magic Tooltips for Gravity Forms, which I gave a 5 to. Not often. Go ahead.
I talked about my WooCommerce product, Virtual Showroom, which I give a 4 out of 5. Escape to Edit gets a 4 out of 5. And Move bbPress Multisite gets a 3 out of 5.
All right. Yeah, it's not often I come with a full house.
That's right.
Very seldom do I end up with 5 top rated plugins or 3 top rated plugins in a show.
It's getting rare.
It's getting harder. It's getting harder for them to impress me. Getting harder.
And I will say, as somebody who wakes up in the morning and checks the repository before I even check the news, I mean, we could have an earthquake and be on fire, but I'm still going to check the repository first before I get into any kind of things going on around me. But it's getting harder and harder. And I'm noticing trends of, like I introduced on this show a WooCommerce plugin that integrates with Facebook Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's like 7 things that do that exact same thing.
Once
find a plugin, copy it.
And once somebody does it, the plugin's out there, it's open source code, and then somebody else copies it, and they start to either tinker with it or they try to just plain rip off the idea. It's better if they tinker with it and fork it, but there's a lot of ripping off of the ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunate, but that's the hazards of open source.
Yep.
It'll probably happen to me when my big long-term project finally comes to fruition. So hopefully.
Speaking of long-term project, I got a plugin that I'm working on that once I get it finished, I'm going to put it into our personal repository for people that donate specific amounts.
Sweet.
Yeah. So look for that soon. I'm getting it developed now. It's the simplest thing in the world that helps you track time, and it's going to be a WordPress plugin coming to this show soon.
Sweet. We can use that. All right. Well, that wraps up that. So a little bit of promotions, commercial bits here. This space here, currently sharing it with Code in WP. Really great website that has a lot of useful articles and tips that you might want to check out. They've got a really interesting blog, plus WordPress developers and other experts, but their blog has a lot of great articles and tips on things you can do to help with your website, save money, development, code snippets, and on. So give them a check out. They're a really great site. Code in WP.
Awesome. And I'm rounding out the next iteration of the Membership Coach site. So go to membershipcoach.com, sign up for the pre-launch of the next semester that is going to have open enrollment again. And make sure that you sign up in that first page. I've got kind of a splash page right now. Depending on when you listen to this, I'd go to the site anyway just to check it out. But got kind of a splash page right now, redesigning the entire front end. And boy, John, I've been blogging and blogging and blogging and blogging and blogging. I wrote 24 posts this weekend of an average of 750 words.
Nice work.
Yeah. So check it out, membershipcoach.com.
All right. And the usual reminders, don't forget, iTunes Store. We greatly appreciate your help giving us reviews there. That's where the majority of our downloads come from. So take a few moments and go in there and give us a review. If you're listening to us on Stitcher Radio, hit that little thumbs up button in the corner. Or if you got a couple of minutes, go to their website and leave a review on their page. We will get those up here on the show as soon as we discover them.
Yep. Make sure you put your link in that review, and we will not only read it on the show, but we'll also feature it in the show notes.
All right. And
all right. How can they contact us, John?
They can reach me on my website at johnoverall.com, or you can send an email direct to john@wppro.ca.
You can follow me at my website, marcuscouch.com, on Twitter at marcuscouch. And remember to follow this show on Twitter at WP Plugins A-Z.
And that's all we got for you. With the snow coming down, I might be in an igloo here pretty soon. So take care now. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today.